Hello and welcome. I'm Jacqueline Whitmore, and this is Ask the Etiquette Expert. This is a series that I started about a week ago, and it's your opportunity to ask an etiquette expert just about anything that's on your mind. Do you want to know how to handle yourself at a dinner party? Do you want to know how to respond to that neighbor who was rude to you? Or do you have a wedding etiquette question? Anything that's on your mind, you can just send to me either by my email, which is info@etiquetteexpert, or you can follow me on social media and send me a DM. So today's show, I have 4 interesting questions. And the first question comes from Kate. Kate asks, is it okay to ask fellow passengers to switch seats? In what scenario is it not okay? So, for those of you who don't know me very well, I'm going to share with you something. I used to be a flight attendant for Northwest Airlines during 1992. I was based in Boston and I flew the European route. I went all over the world and saw a lot of interesting places, and I met a lot of fascinating people. So it's no surprise that I get a lot of travel etiquette questions, either from my followers or my friends, and mostly the media. And this actually came from a member of the media, and it's going to appear, I can't tell you which publication it's going to appear in, but Kate and I spoke yesterday. So I'm going to give you my best advice. Is it okay to ask fellow passengers to switch seats? And you'll always hear me say this answer again and again and again. And the answer is, it depends. The reason I always say it depends is because etiquette is situational. It's not always black and white. And the other thing you're going to always hear me say is, my definition of etiquette is always being aware of how your behavior affects other people around you. So this question is interesting in that it can go several ways. I don't see anything wrong with asking whether someone can switch seats with you if it's an extenuating circumstance. But let me also say that the time to switch seats or to ask for a new seat is not when you're on the airplane. The time to ask for a new seat would be when you're at the gate, when you're uh, in front of the gate agent. Let's say that your spouse is sitting a few rows ahead, and you and your children are sitting a few rows back, and you and your children want to move up to be close to your spouse. If your spouse paid extra to sit in economy comfort or first class, the chances of you and your kids moving up, if you're in the very back, are probably slim to none. People pay for certain seats for a reason. Either they want more leg room, or let's say if you're like me, you like an aisle seat because you like to get in and out quickly, or maybe you just love to look out the window, and so you're asking for a window seat. So the only reason I would say it's not okay to ask someone is, let's say you're in the middle seat and you ask someone in an aisle seat to switch with you. The chances of them switching are probably not going to happen. So if you want to switch seats, you want to do it prior to getting on the airplane. And sometimes the gate agent can switch seats around, or they can see on the seating map that there are seats available in a certain section, and they'll put the whole family together. If you don't ask the gate agent and you go ahead and board, and you still want to switch seats, The second person I would ask would be the flight attendant. And oftentimes, the flight attendant can switch people around based on availability and extenuating circumstances. But you better have a really good case for switching seats. Otherwise, the flight attendant will probably say no, because in this day and age, airplanes are packed. Um, so if you obviously, if there's a child, an unaccompanied minor, and you want to sit with your child, which I don't know why that would happen anyway, but if that's the case, of course, the flight attendant will make every effort to do that. Otherwise, when you ask another passenger, "Would you switch seats with me?" it puts that other passenger in a very awkward position. And that passenger most likely will say no unless he or she takes pity on you. So the answer is it depends. This next question comes from Natalie. And by the way, if you're just joining us, welcome. I'm Jacqueline Whitmore, and this is Ask the Etiquette Expert series. And feel free to type some questions in the chat if you're with me live. Let me know where you're viewing, and let me know that you're here live with me. I love to know that other people are on the broadcast with me, so I don't feel so alone. This next question comes from Natalie. And she asks, what is the etiquette of talking on airplanes, either to strangers or to your travel companions? That may seem like a really simple question, but some people aren't really sure if they should be talking to their travel companions. Because I have flown so much, I don't hesitate to say hello when I sit next to someone. In fact, I think it breaks the ice. You don't have to chit chat with them the whole trip, but it's nice to at least acknowledge your seatmates by saying hello or where are you headed, that kind of thing. Another thing that I recommend for veteran travelers is you always travel with your AirPods or your Bose stereo. Whenever you see someone put earpods or AirPods in their ears, that's a silent signal for do not disturb. In other words, they don't want to chit chat. Another silent signal is when someone cracks open a book or their laptop. That's usually an indication that they want to study or they want to get some work done, and that's not a time to chit chat. So there's nothing wrong with acknowledging your seatmates and saying, good morning, good afternoon, where are you headed? Something like that. Or you might even say something like, oh gosh, that was a really long wait. Glad we finally boarded the plane. But if a seatmate wants to talk to you, of course, you follow their lead. Now, what if you're on the receiving end and someone wants to talk to you and you don't want to talk to them? My answer is honesty is the best policy. So if you're trying to get some work done or you're trying to rest, just say nicely and politely, I would really love to get to know you better, but I'm really tired and I'm going to get some rest, or I hope you don't mind, but I'm going to get some work done. That's a nice way of letting someone know that you're not interested in small talk. The other part of this question, and when Natalie asked me this question, she wanted to know about the noise level and what is the etiquette of talking to your travel companions. There's nothing wrong talking to your seatmates, but you want to keep your voice down because people around you might want to sleep or get work done or just want to zone out. I was on a plane trip, maybe a year ago. I remember there was a couple behind me, and they were clearly not together. They were getting to know each other. I could tell by their conversation that they were getting to know each other and somewhat being flirtatious with one another. And as they got more excited, their voices elevated. Well, I didn't want to listen to that. So after the plane doors closed and the plane took off, I looked around and there happened to be a couple of seats 2 rows ahead of me. Now, that wasn't in a section that I didn't pay for. I was clearly in, at that point, I think it was economy comfort. So it was okay at that point when the plane takes off, the doors close, and you're at a comfortable cruising altitude. As long as the light indicates it's safe to move around, you can go ahead and move as long as there is space available. And a lot of flight attendants won't tell you that, but that there was a whole row that was empty. So I moved from one seat over here to one seat a couple rows up, and that was just fine. But I would just say to all of you traveling to go ahead, and if you want to chit chat, that's fine. Just keep your voice down. This next question, this next question comes from, let's see, Dia. And Dia says, how do you avoid splitting the bill when your friends eat and drink more than you do? Okay. This is a tricky question. How do you avoid splitting the bill when your friends eat and drink more than you do? I say if you know you're going out with people who, let's say, consume more alcohol than you do, and you're not a drinker at all, why should you have to pay for half the bill if you eat or drink less? So when I'm put in that situation, I will oftentimes say to the server, could we please have separate checks? And you want to do that at the beginning of the meal, when you sit down and when you order, versus at the end of the meal, because a lot of restaurants can do that for you. They're okay with splitting the bill. If it's a birthday party and you're celebrating someone, for example, then it's usually understood, although again, you should never assume that everyone is going to split the bill for the birthday person. These are the kind of things that you need to discuss ahead of time and to discuss with your companions. And that way you're not put in an awkward situation. I've heard many, many stories of people going out with friends and then let's say it's a table of 6 and everybody says at the end, oh, let's just split the bill equally. Well, that's not always fair. So I would recommend that you figure out ahead of time who's going to pay for what. And this is another important point. If you're the host and you're hosting a dinner for, let's say, a client, the person who does the asking or the inviting is responsible for doing the paying. That's in business situations. And in social situations, it's oftentimes the same. The person who does the inviting will often pay the bill, but times are changing. A lot of people want to split the bill. Or some people will say, this time it's my treat and next time you pick up the bill. So communication is key whenever you're going out with friends. And otherwise, if you get stuck with paying more than your fair share, it oftentimes adds to bitterness and resentment, and no one wants that, of course. So, again, if you're joining me for the first time, I'm Jacqueline Whitmore. This is Ask the Etiquette Expert. And if you are here and you would love to ask a question, you can email me at info@etiquette expert, or you can follow me on social media and you can send me a DM, and that's where I get a lot of my questions. And also, welcome to my newsletter subscribers. I am really excited to see you here because some of you have been following me for a long, long time, and I really appreciate your loyalty and your friendship and all of that. So let's see if we have any other comments. Okay, we'll move on. And oh, by the way, for those of you who aren't familiar with my ebook, Master Your Mingle Ability, it is free and it is for you. So all you have to do is go to my website, etiquetteexpert.com, and go to the very bottom of the homepage and click on Get Your Free Copy of Master Your Mingle Ability. That is my gift to you. It is a free ebook. If you are going to parties and you want to be a better networker, if you want to learn how to remember names and put your best face forward, this is a great book for you. So head on over to my website. This next question is from Teresa, and Teresa follows me on Facebook. Teresa, if you're here today, welcome. And she asked me an interesting question. She said, "What is the best way to know how to share family news, whether it be good news, bad news, or sad news? Whose responsibility is it to share the news?" So thank you, Teresa, for that question. This is kind of a complex question. Let's just say someone in your family has fallen ill, very, very ill, and you want the rest of the family to know, but you first have to ask, does this person want me to be the bearer of bad news? I always think to myself, how will this other person respond if he or she knows that I'm going to be telling the news? Now, if that person gives you permission to share the news with the rest of the family, that's one thing. But let's say a family member has cancer and she tells you the news. Is it your responsibility to share her story? I would say, if you're not sure, you might want to ask this person, is this something you want to keep confidential, or is this public information? And obviously, if she's not sending a family email or blasting it out on social media, she may be a very private person, then I would honor that person's wishes and keep it private. But when in doubt, always ask. Otherwise, you could be labeled as the gossip. Another situation, let's say someone, it could be a best friend, is going through a divorce, or they're separating from their spouse. That's their story to tell. And it may be none of your business. If that person confides in you and says, "Hey, look, this is what I'm going through. I would appreciate if you keep it confidential," then you honor that person. That's just good etiquette. But if you go and against this person's wishes, and you go out into the world and you start telling so and so and so and so and spreading the news, then you are sabotaging that person's trust, and that might be something that this person could hold against you in the future. So to you, it may seem like juicy gossip and you can't wait to share it with other people, but remember what I said about etiquette. Etiquette is being mindful of how your behavior affects other people. So if you're doing something against this person's wishes, you're tarnishing that person's trust. So, whose responsibility is it to share the news? It's the person who's going through the situation. That person has the option to either make it public, um, or if that person says, "Hey, I need your help. I can't possibly let everybody in the family know. Could you, send a group email to everybody? Or I'm just not ready to share it right now. Can you just keep this confidential?" Then you need to honor that person's wishes. So that concludes the 4 questions that I was planning on sharing with all of you today. As I said before, I get a lot of questions through social media. Sometimes the media will contact me, magazines and newspapers, TV shows, and they'll want me to comment on certain scenarios. And these are collected every week, and I plan to share them with you every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And let me just put this on the screen again for those of you who are joining me. If you haven't received my free ebook, go to my website, etiquetteexpert.com, and just go to the bottom of the website and grab your copy. Let's see, we have we have a comment from Bronwyn. Bronwyn, welcome. Let's see. We do have a few minutes left. Let's see. I will answer Bronwyn's question, and she asks, let's see, I'm going to show it on the screen if I can. How do you mix at family events of an ex-partner's when they have new partner, or it is best not to attend if feeling may get hurt? Should you take someone with you as your partner friend versus going alone? Thank you, Bronwyn, for asking that question. Now, when I get questions like this, I oftentimes will break it down, and I would always try to put myself in the other person's shoes. So let's see, let me look at that question again and let's break it down. Let me show it on the screen. How do you mix at family events of an ex-partner's when they have new partner, or it's best not to attend if feelings may get hurt? Okay. If you know that feelings might be hurt, okay. If you have a good relationship with your partner, I would simply call or text that person and say, do you think it would be appropriate if I come to the event? Would you feel comfortable if I come to the event and bring my significant other? It's best for you and your ex to have that conversation versus just showing up like Scarlett O'Hara does in Gone with the Wind. She just shows up to this party, and all of a sudden people give her the evil eye. I love that movie, by the way. So I think if you have if you have that kind of relationship with your ex, it's best to have that dialogue, that communication beforehand. If you don't, then let's say your ex-mother-in-law wants you to come. You still have to think about how your presence will affect others, and are you going to feel comfortable? How do you feel? How does this make you feel? And if you feel that if it's not an absolute yes, if it's not a yes with an exclamation point, then there might be some cause for doubt and you might want to think differently. And there might be other opportunities for you to attend at a later date. Maybe it's too soon. Maybe you and your ex just broke up about a month or two ago. Maybe everything's too fresh. Wait until some time has passed when everybody has moved on and they've healed. Should you take someone with you, not without asking permission? It's almost like bringing a plus one, and then it takes everybody by surprise. So I hope that helps. If you want me to get in a little bit deeper, you can always send me a DM, and I'm happy to share with you what my my comments are. But I'd like to know, if you were in that situation, Bronwyn, how did it turn out? That's always interesting to me. How did it turn out? Because what might work for me might not work for you or for your neighbor. That's the complexity of etiquette. Etiquette is, as I said, it's not black and white. Protocol is black and white, but etiquette, the lines are a little bit skewed sometimes. So I think that is all the questions for today. Again, I'm here every Tuesday at 2, Ask the Etiquette Expert series. I've been wanting to do this series for a very long time, but I've just now had the opportunity to start it up. And my wish for you is that you try something new and that you take a chance and you do something out of your comfort zone. Video is not an easy thing for any of us to do. So this is really a unique opportunity for me. So with that being said, tune in next week. In the meantime, I can be reached at etiquetteexpert.com, and I look forward to hearing your comments in the future. So everybody have a great day.